decision-making skills, or at least you can comfort yourself by realizing that you made one good choice today. What the farfignugan was that? I don't know what that was.
What are you talking about?
It was a rogue slider.
The rogue slider, studio engineer guy. What happened there? I don't know.
Mark that time down.
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Mark that time down. You'll hear it.
Okay.
Cool.
Hey.
All right. Do you have the video ready?
All right. So play that funky video, white boy.
Sure. Okay.
Please.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
All right. Oh, man. To tell you what. So we've got a brand new week, and we're going to do I've got an interview already. It's in the can and waiting to be played. I interviewed my friend Court Graham. And Jared and I talked about this, a few weeks ago or a month ago, or I don't know how long it was, where a lot of people have heard the 200-year cycle, and they're like, well, what is that all about? People talk about the Roman Empire and the 200-year cycle and the Persians and the Greeks and so forth. And but most people don't know where that came from. And a lot of folks have seen the little meme or the infographic that says, hard times make strong men make good times make weak men make hard times, right? That little cycle. Everybody's seen that. Well, what that essentially is that's an oversimplification of the Tytler cycle. And Cork and I are going to talk about the Tytler cycle and this thing called the fourth turning. And the fourth turning essentially says, people consider a generation to be about 20 years, depending on who you talk to. They'll say, well, a generation's 20, it's 25. And with the gentleman, there's actually two gentlemen who wrote a book called The Fourth Turning, and they talk about how every 4 generations you have a crisis. You have a major crisis that your nation has to deal with. And in the United States, we've had the first Civil War, the American Revolution. Then we had the second Civil War, which is the war between the North and the South. And then we had the Great Depression, which led into World War II. That ended, and here we are again. So if you look at those, you're like about 80 years, about 80 years, about 80 years. And we're going to talk about that in detail today. But that's coming up. That's coming up after the Warrior of the Week question and all the other stuff that we do. Now, if you guys are listening live, and I know a lot of you are, go ahead and leave a question in the notes, whether it's on Discord or Facebook or YouTube. Studio Engineer, are we on YouTube?
We are on YouTube. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what is going on in the studio there?
We are on YouTube.
Nothing
All right,
is going on in
good.
the studio. I don't know. I don't know what's wrong on your end.
All right. It's not my end.
It's the Zoom. It's fine.
We're
on YouTube. Now we know the answer to the question. Let's move on.
So leave your comments. Questions, and concerns. And if you ask a good question, we'll jump in and we'll go ahead and talk about it. What did we decide we were going to do for the Warrior of the Week question?
I've got a question here. It says there's a couple. From Tony, it says, who manufactures the best AK-47 on the market? This is actually something we haven't talked about in a little while. We haven't talked about AKs, which is a rather hot topic right now. And I don't know what happened to make AKs a hot topic, but they are. And so I guess you can start with who you think makes the best AK-47 on the market, and then talk about what you like about AKs in general.
Okay. And what we can do, though, is first we'll allow Zach to play the Warrior of the Week.
Yes.
Did that sound okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounded fine. All right,
Okay.
I got a public service announcement. I have a public service announcement. This is my public service announcement to you, the worldwide student of the gun audience. If you would like to be taken seriously, I mean, most of us do, right, Jared? Most people want to be taken seriously. I mean, unless you're a comedian.
Yeah.
But I believe even comedians want to be taken seriously, right? They want to be respected for what they do. If you want to be respected by others, by your peers, and you want to be taken seriously, when you encounter, whether it's a news story or a YouTube video or an article or anything that is posted on the World Wide Web, if there's a comment box below that, refrain from posting a comment or a diatribe or a manifesto in the comment section based upon the title or the picture.
But I love reading comments that don't have anything to do with the actual topic.
Or unless it's a may. Okay, if it's a may, then you can just comment on the may, because that's all the may is a picture with words, right? But if you want to be taken seriously, now if you don't, if you are open to ridicule and you woke up today thinking, I want everyone to ridicule me for being a TikTok, well, all right, then just jump in and leave a manifesto based upon the title. But otherwise, if you would like to be taken seriously as a human, first read the article, watch the video, listen to the story, then comment. That is my public service announcement. That is my duty to you guys. So you're welcome. You're welcome. All right. So getting back to the Warrior of the Week question. All right. If you want to be the Warrior of the Week and call 844-207-7684. Question number 1. Who manufactures the best AK on the market? All right. Personal experience. All right. 30 years of experience. Who manufactures the best one? Well, if you're talking about mass manufacturing, if you're talking about a factory that has 497 employees and they're cranking out literally thousands of AKs a month, it's the Russians. Yishmash, or whatever they're calling the factory now. I know that the main AK factory changed hands and changed names a couple times. But yeah, the Russians make the best. And you say, that's great, but I can't buy one of their guns. And you're like, okay, so you can't get one of their guns. The next one is Occam Defense. OCC, AM, Defense, the ODS 1775 is probably the best AK hand-built here in America, made in America AK you're going to get. And then below that, this is where we're going to get into some he said, she said, the guns are my religion type people. People are like, no, you need to get the because, all right. If you can get your hands on a surplus AK, the Wassers, are totally fine. They've had some highs and lows. The Romanian Wassers have had some highs and lows, but the ones that I've encountered lately are really good. I've got the Wasser underfolder that I've had for a couple of years, and it's the fashizzle. It's fantastic. I've allowed people in the Liberty Mastermind, or not Liberty Mastermind, the leadership class. I've allowed people in the leadership class to shoot that gun and had zero problems with it. People love that gun. The Century guns, the Visca and the C39 V2, absolutely nothing wrong with those guns. And you're like, yeah, but this guy over at the AK Masturbators Forum said that I should hate them. Well, I really don't care. I really don't care. guns are tools, and tools break. People are like, I heard this one gun broke. Did you see it? No, but someone told me. You could tell that story for every gun. You can tell that story for every manufacturer. Ruger recalls stuff all the time, and nobody does hate channels for them. That's what I don't understand. Help me understand that, Jared. Ruger recalls more guns than Century ever has in the history of their company, and Remington too. And people don't get on this like psycho bandwagon about I hate Ruger and you should never buy a Ruger product. Why is that, you suppose? Do you suppose it's because it's like everyone's in love with the Hank Williams Phoenix?
Yeah.
Hank, the Hank Williams Phoenix. You know what I'm talking about?
I'm just gonna do this.
Why is that? You guys help me understand that. Why is it that? And I don't have a problem with Ruger. They're a major manufacturer. They put out millions of guns a year. But the reality is, Ruger's had way more recalls than Century ever has. And there aren't entire forums dedicated to Ruger bashing like there are Century.
Yeah, I don't know. That's actually a really good question.
Actually, I can't answer the question if you want me to tell you.
Yeah, I mean,
the number one Century haters are paid by Century's top competitor to hate them. That's the real answer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, but why doesn't that exist for something like Ruger or?
Why doesn't Remington pay people?
Yeah, I wonder. I wonder if it's because. Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if it's because Ruger, Remington, they do a really good job at not listening to those people.
I don't know. But yeah, so if you really want a great AK, go to Asia.
Would you say that you could get a grade AK?
A grade A K, Kalashnikov.
Yeah.
Pop on over to Asia, go to the Ishmash factory, lay down your rubles, and get yourself an AK-105 or an AK-104. You're like, I can't get one of those. Okay. Get on the list, and I don't even know if it's on a list anymore. No, as a matter of fact, I think Brian had to change his way of doing business because he was taking orders and then the price of parts were going up, and he was basically having to spend more money to make the guns than he was making, and that's not a good way to stay in business. So, but if you want a really well-built AK, intelligently designed, well-built AK, Occam Defense, OCC, AM Defense.com is a great one. You say, yeah, but they've got 6 months waiting list, or I can't get one. Okay, great. Go get a Visca or a Wasser or a C39. I got a weird happenstance. The PAP guns, the Zastavas, they're kind of they're weird because they put a lot of stuff on an AK that's not normally there. Some like a hinge dust cover. The Zastava full-size rifle that I have has a hinged dust cover, which is actually not a bad thing. It works really well. If any of you ever had an AK where you had a hard time getting the dust cover back on, you had to bang it with a mallet or whatever, the Zastavas, you don't have to do that. The one issue that I did have with the Zastava, though, is it wouldn't run polymer mags. Do you remember that, Jared? You were there. I think you were there when we took that gun to Bill's place up in Texas, and I was shocked.
I
was shocked because I was running the gun.
Did I go to Bill's place once or twice?
I thought you went there twice.
Yeah, I'm trying to relate other things that happened on there.
Once Paxton was there, Zach was there, you were there.
Yeah,
but so and this may have been a weird anomaly, but the Zastava PAP rifle that I had, if I put polymer, either the PMags, right, or the US Palm mags, or even Tapco mags. And it was like, no one uses Tapco mags, whatever. But if I put a polymer magazine in that thing, I had stoppages like crazy. And I was like, what in the world is going on? I was freaking out because I've never had an AK have problems like that. So you're like, well, why don't you use the factory mag? Well, because it came with one steel factory mag. So I'm like, okay, I'll use the steel factory mag. And the weird thing about the Zastavas, the Croatians, is they want to put bolt hold opens in their mags, which is totally weird and totally unnecessary, but they have to be different. I don't know why. They're over there and they're like, we're going to be different. Screw the Russians. We're going to make this differently. But that gun, as long as I run steel magazines in it, I took it out and I was like, okay, I'm going to do a Pepsi challenge here. And I stacked up a whole bunch of steel magazines and I ran them all through, zero stoppage. Just like, okay, so now I know that you have to run steel mags in that gun. Now, the other guns that I have never had that experience. It's weird. So I don't know. Maybe I should talk to Jeff about that because Jeff has run a lot of Zastava guns, or at least he has some Zastava guns. So, but yeah, there you go. There's your answer, freaks and freakettes. So the number one manufacturer of AKs is Ishmash, or whatever they're calling the factory now. I know they changed the name. Maybe Ishmash is the new name, or that's the old name, and whatever. But the Russians make the best one. If you're in America and you want to get a really good one, get an Occam. Then if you don't want to wait or get one of those, then get a Visca or a C39 or get a Wasser, and you'll be happy. You're like, what about that other company that makes them? If you want to get that other company's guns, go for it. I don't care. I'm just telling you what my experience is. And I've got about 30 some years experience shooting AKs. So that's all.
You've been saying you've had 30 years experience for like the last 5 years. So you got to have more than 30 now.
Well, I mean, I've got 35 years of professional gun training, carrying experience, I guess you could say. But with the AK, I was introduced to the AK just as a, hey, look, this is the weapon of the enemy when I was in the Marine Corps. But we never really got to shoot them. They're just like, hey, this is what they do, and this is how they look, and there you go. And, we got to pick them up and screw with them when I was in the desert. But I didn't get to really train with an AK until I got out of the Marine Corps. So there you go. Since anyone coming to take our liberties from us most likely will be using ARs, wouldn't it be better to have a surplus of 5.56 NATO? Wouldn't it be better? Better than what? Better than Ezra?
Better than Ezra. Oh, by the way, look what I got.
I saw that you got your package finally.
Dude, this is like the most comfortable sweatshirt I've ever worn.
Isn't it? It's life. Crazy soft. It's like giving yourself a hug.
Yeah.
It's like
I'm over here. I put it on for the first time and I was like, I need to take this off before it gets dirty. Because we were doing some work stuff in the basement, and I was like, this is not going to be one that I wear to paint with. It's going to be one that I wear when I want to be comfortable, and it fits very well. Okay, so Tony Bazarth, you are the Warrior of the Week, so send in your name, email, all that crap. And name, email, phone number. Yeah. What else is it? Oh, name, address, phone number, and email typed into the body, please. And Johnny B. Goods, LOL, on YouTube says, I like listening to the show from the comedy state of New Jersey. Great show, podcast to listen to. I'm definitely looking for an AK here, and thank you for the advice for which company to look at. So, Tony, your question was valuable to at least one other person. There you go. Good job. As far as the, those who are coming to take our liberties are going to have, are you going to like barter with them for their guns, or like trade them cases of water, or what? How are you? I mean, I get the question here. You're like, so bad tyrannical people are going to come and try and disarm you and take away your liberty. And you're thinking, well, when they do that, I will end up with their guns in my hand. And you're like, and I'm like, okay, so there you go. And you say, so, but I need to put ammo in it.
are you just going to take the empty gun? There's not anything else around? You need to come to the leadership class. We'll talk about that. All right. Duracoat. Why? You know, we do this, and every time I think I need to go out into the workshop, and I have a tub of Duracoat stuff. You know, I've got the stripper and
Oh, you have a stripper?
I have the True Strip. The True Strip. That's what I call my stripper. And the adhesion promoter.
I call mine cinnamon.
You guys are cinnamon. That's what I'm gonna start calling True Strip.
You look like a cinnamon.
Oh, I'm gonna tell Amy she's got to start calling the stripper cinnamon. She's like, Paul, you're a retard. I'm just,
man.
I don't even know who you are. I'm gonna lose your number. But anyway, and in that tub, I also have templates. I've got various templates. What I need to do is I need to go out and check my skull pattern templates because I've used them on a bunch of projects, and I'm not sure how many I have left.
Almost gone.
Yeah, almost gone.
Shame on you for using things. Do you know what I'm going to put slightly darker black on? I have
your band vent cover.
Oh, I already told you.
Yeah, you told me.
Dang. Well, that's what I'm going to do. I got a bathroom vent fan thing that I just put in, installed. I cut a hole in the side of the house and stuck it in there. And I have this cover that is going to be outside in the weather. And so I'm going to take the Duracoat slightly darker black. I'm going to apply it to that cover. I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to put it back on there. And it's going to look great.
That'd be a great idea if you did that.
Yeah.
But where can I go to find all this Duracoat stuff that you speak of?
Yeah. Well, you first self-addressed stamp envelope. No, I'm just kidding. Go to DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com.
Crossbreed Holsters wants you to be dangerous on demand. Carry your freaking gun, Mongoloid. Yes, and how can you do that? Go to crossbreedholsters.com. Select the correct holster for your gun. Use the promotional code SOTG18. Check out, save money, be happy. That's what you do. Brownells at brownells.com. Sign up for their newsletter so you know the instant that ammunition and magazines and pieces and parts and whatever come back in stock. And if you're looking for something that is been out of stock, like a bolt or bolt carrier or a spring or whatever, click the little gray button that says notify me. And as soon as the truck comes in with that on it, they'll send you an email and you will have 18 minutes to purchase that. And you're like, what? Yeah. Those who know, and those who don't will cry. All right, Zach, here's what I want you to do, brother. I want you to play the attention new listeners, and then after that, we'll just go right into my interview with Court Graham.
Attention new listeners. We produced a complimentary online training course called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. Get instant access by joining the Student Lounge for free at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of these questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right, guys, thank you once again to Court Graham for joining us and talking about, we got a little bit cerebral today. We made you use your brain. Some people are like, I don't want to use my brain. It hurts. Okay. Boys, are there any questiones in either the Facebook, the Discord, or the YouTube that we should answer? Negativo. Oh, I got one here. Super quick. I can answer this. Jeffrey Peters says, why an AK? Get a VZ58. It's milled from steel, not plate steel, and has an open bolt. Yeah. When's the last time you tried to find magazines for that? I have one. I own one. I have a few magazines for it. Not a lot. You say, well, what do you mean? It comes with 2. That's enough. Nothing wrong with the VZ58. But when it comes to pieces, parts, magazines, accessories, they're few and far and few between. Few and far between. There you go. Few and far between. Any other questions, boys? Nope.
That'd be all.
All right, freaks and freakettes, that is it. And remember, we're going to be back Wednesday. And let me see. I'll jump ahead in my show notes. What are we going to talk about Wednesday? Be a good victim. Yes, another traitorous piece of crap in uniform has gone public to tell you, the stupid peasant, that you don't need to be carrying a gun. Instead, you just need to be a good witness. This is true. It's a brand new story.
It'll be interesting.
We're talking about that, and we're going to talk about emergency and survival gear, as if that's an important topic.
Not now. Never.
All that on Wednesday. But until then, remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.
So never mind on the whole Tytler cycle thing.
That's what he's going to talk about with Cork Graham.
Oh, you talk about on the thing, right?
Yeah. Those are all notes for the interview.
Oh, okay.
That go along with the interview.
Okay.
And in the interview, I tell people, hey, if you want to really get into this, there's a link in the show notes.
Oh, you're doing it, Zach. Yeah, sorry.
You're fine.
Cool. Yeah, everybody that's listening live is like, why wanted to listen to the interview? If you're listening live, you're gonna have to go to the show on Monday and listen to the interview.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, we're not going to sit here and listen to what we already did. It's already done. We're not going to listen to it again.
Sorry, brah. Are we still live on the YouTubes and stuff?
We're still live everywhere.
Okay. So how much time do you guys need before we continue?
I can go now.
I can go now.
Zach, do you need to go to the bathroom?
No, I want to get this done as fast as possible.
Okay. All right, let me grab my water bottle.
Go cut my eye out of my head.
Just stop messing with it.
If it's causing you pain, go to the damn doctor.
Well, we're doing radio.
Okay, well then go as soon as we're done.
Okay. It keeps coming in and out. Is a thing.
Is it pain or uncomfort?
A little bit of pain, mostly uncomfort.
Yeah. Is there a direction that you can look that makes it not feel like it scratched?
No.
So everywhere you look, it's still uncomfortable.
I just did a 360 forward, left, right, up, down. Yeah.
Okay.
Just in my left eye.
All right. Well, I'm ready when you guys are.
Okay. Yeah. Let me write down the start time. All right, you can go ahead and start us off whenever you're ready.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you behind the black carbon steel microphone. I haven't said that in a while. This is actually the second or third. Is it the second or third black carbon steel microphone? I don't know. Oh,
I think that's number two.
Number two. Okay, the second black carbon steel microphone. But it doesn't matter. Wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, wherever the studio happens to be, that's that. Is that, Mr. That's that? That's that. All right. What are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about water and water storage and emergency and survival gear. And we're also going to talk about elitist pieces of crap in uniform who think you, the silly peasant, can't be trusted with guns. Yeah, imagine that. Imagine that. Yeah, and you're not going to believe from which state this derives.
I can take a guess without even looking
Yeah,
at it
there
right
you go.
now.
All right, Zach, the studio engineer, play that intro music.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I think a lot of people forget. I think as often as we have said that, many folk who show up forget that I'm not here to say what you want to hear. I'm here to say what needs to be said. Now, sometimes those things jive and they coincide with each other, and sometimes they don't. But that's like the mountain. That's not my job. It's not my responsibility. Oh, so you're like the mountain. If you guys don't get that reference, then go back and read the parable of the monk and the mountain.
That's on our Facebook page, I believe.
That's right. The monk and the mountain. Isn't it weird, Jared, that just about 3 or 4 weeks ago we talked about dealing with adversity and how people deal with it in different ways. We said, when it's cold, it's not just cold for you.
Yeah.
But it's cold. Yeah, it's cold for everybody. But it's hot. It's hot for everyone. But the weights are heavy. They're heavy for everyone. The mountain is high for everyone. It's not just you. The weather's not picking on you specifically. All right. So let's go ahead and go right into the. If you have cues, if you happen to be paying attention live right now, if you're one of those select few, throw them into the comments and the boys will monitor them. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump into our Brownells bullet points of the week. Should I start taking the label off my bottles? Should I do the Discovery Channel or the History Channel thing where
You have to blur it.
I take the label off the bottle so that they don't get free advertising on the show?
That's funny.
All right. Should I take duct tape and cover the label? How many of you guys have ever watched one of these pseudo reality shows that aren't really reality shows, but where they duct tape over everything branded? You guys ever do that? Yeah. The number one most brand Nazi, Stasi KGB brand Nazis is Mythbusters. Everything, literally everything. Did you guys ever notice that? Even when they're out in a junkyard, taking cars and ramming them into crap, they blur out or block or duct tape over the model of the car. Where it says Ford, they put gray duct tape over it. No one gets anything for free, even incidentally. Calm down, man. I don't think that 1/10 of a second where it said Chevy on the back of the car is going to sell $1 million worth of Chevys. They're we don't care. No one gets anything for free. Something I respect, though, from them is if you look closely, their lav mics have wind guards in every single color. Did you ever notice that, Jared? Normally, our lav mics just have black wind guards, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, so they do it for different colored shirts and whatnot.
Oh, they have every color. They have navy, they have gray, they have white, they have black, they have green, tan. If you look close, you're like, holy crap, that's a heather gray wind cover on that lav mic so they blend. That's high value production, man. I tell you what. And that is true. But I'm not going to talk about that today. What I'm talking about is pop music and Brownell's bullet points. If you go to brownells.com, as we have recommended innumerable times, if you go to brownells.com and you go to the home page, over on the right-hand side, stage left, your right, there's a little button that says emergency and survival gear. Click.
If you're watching live, then I just sent you guys a link. Make sure you open it in a new tab so you don't lose.
Yeah,
If
so
you're
you
in
don't-
Discord, you're fine. But if you're in YouTube, make sure you open it in a new tab so you don't lose the stream.
So on the homepage, first thing that pops up, boom, SurePack MREs, boom, water brick storage units, boom, flashlights and batteries, boom, water filters. And at the bottom, guess what's back in stock? Wise Foods are back in stock. Remember 6 months ago when you couldn't find any of it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's back in stock. You're like, well, now that it's back in stock, I don't have to worry about buying it. I'll just buy it whenever I need it. No, that's not how that works. And that's what people do, isn't it, Jared? They look and they're like, oh, there's plenty of it in stock. I'll get it someday, eventually, at some point in time.
It's like the burn cream. I'll get the burn cream after I'm burnt.
Yeah, after I've got blisters on the back of my hand, then I'll order the burn cream online. Or I'll complain that it costs too much. That's what I'll do. So we were having a conversation over on the Liberty Mastermind exclusive Facebook group 2 days ago. And someone brought up the water situation in Tejas. Now, it's cold all over the country. It's cold in Tennessee. It's cold in Pennsylvania. It's cold in Texas and so forth. But they're having a hard time down there because they're not prepared for the weather. Apparently, I don't know how this happened, but it didn't. Now, Jared, do you remember when we did that little thing that, what do we call it? Emergency minimums, or what was the name of the last article we did?
Crisis preparedness, a minimum checklist, I think.
There you go. Crisis preparedness.
I'll grab it and drop it in the notes. So if you have not yet read that article, go to the show notes on whatever device you're using and read that.
Yes. So what I did, and I've done this in videos, lots and lots and lots of videos. I said, okay, what if you woke up in the morning, walked over to the faucet, turned the knob, and nothing came out? Well, and this is when people said, well, yeah, but I've lived in this house for 11 years, 9 years, 7 years, and that's never happened, not once. Okay. Thanks for telling me that. But what would you do? If you woke up in the morning, walk over and you go in the bathroom and you turn on the faucet and it goes, and then brown crap comes out and then nothing. What would you do? Well, I'd jump in my truck and I would run to the store to buy water. Yeah, but everyone else in town is doing the exact same thing as you. Then you get to the store and there's 800 people there and they're all fighting over the last 50 cases of water. Yeah, exactly. People are like, well, that's never happened. And come on. I mean, I'm not gonna prepare for stuff that's never happened. Have you ever had to pull your gun out and stop someone from killing you or your family? Well, no. Do you carry a gun? Well, yeah. Why? Because I never know. Oh, because you never know. That's right. Do you have a fire extinguisher in your kitchen? Yeah. Why? Do you normally set your kitchen on fire? No, I've never had a kitchen fire. Then why do you have an extinguisher? Because I never know if it's...
I get it now.
Exactly. Now, we talked about water storage. Cases of water are super convenient, right? Cases of water are super convenient, but you don't just drink water in your house. This is one of those things where you never think about until no water's coming out of the tap. Mm-hmm. I've been in situations, I've been in post-hurricane situations where the water stopped running, or for instance, we were on a well, in our house in Biloxi, which was great because
That was a well?
that was a well.
No
We were
kidding.
on a well. Yeah, we didn't have city water. We were on a well and we had a septic tank. So that's great.
Oh, that's right.
However, in order for the well pump to work, you have to have this little thing called electricity. You're like, well, and hook up a generator to it. So you either hook up a generator to it, or when the electric goes out, you don't have water. Yeah, no kidding. So drinking water, great. But what else do we use water for? We use water for cooking, right? You're still planning on eating during the crisis, right? You gonna just fast during the entire crisis? No, you still got to eat. You still need to wash your hands. Hygiene is extremely important. You need to wash your hands. All right. He's like, well, we got 18 gallons of hand sanitizer, so we're gonna use that. All right, whatever. But you should wash your other nether regions of your body. At least take a horse bath or something, right? There's a lot of things you use water for that you don't think about. Flushing toilets. Do never use clean drinking water to flush a toilet. If you have clean drinking water and you're pouring it into the back of the toilet to make it flush, your survival plan stinks. Okay? Yeah, that stuff's it's too valuable.
Does it stink because you're pouring it in the back of the toilet?
Yeah.
So before we get too much further into this, there's people that I've talked about or talked to, not talked about. I've talked to about the it's in different areas, Texas, Louisiana, etc. And they've said that the stuff like this has never happened in their entire lifetime. And so what we look at here is what our friend Jeff calls probability of threat. So no matter where you're located in the world, if you're in Texas and it's snowing and freezing right now, your normal probability of threat that's probably low on the list because it never happens. However, we're talking about water and food, whatnot. It doesn't matter where you live, what the emergency is, you're always going to need water and food. So if you look at the probability of threat, not having water, not having food, those are very high on the priority list. Then you go down the list from there. So you figure out, what do you need to survive? And then what do you need that would be nice to have?
Okay, so let's not say, well, this never happens and it's never going to happen again. Okay, well, what about tornadoes? What about hurricanes?
Right, and that's there are specific things that will happen when you have a snowstorm or something that freezes, like pipes bursting. You probably don't have to worry about that very often. It's a low probability of threat where you are in Texas or Louisiana or whatever. But maybe it'll happen sometime. However, if you look at, and what Dad's trying to say here is that if you look at many natural disasters that could happen in your area, there's a lot of crossover on the things that you need to have prepared that might happen with, tornado or hurricane or whatever, but will also be useful if something like your pipes freeze and burst and you can't use them anymore.
Yeah. And that's the number one thing that hurricane people are always worried about, because massive flooding will negatively affect the water system. It will generally, it poisons it, right? You get toxins and you get bacteria and crap in it, so you can't drink the water. Even if it's coming out of the faucet, you can't drink it, or you shouldn't. What happened? The reason that I wrote the crisis preparedness article on way back on January 12th was because some terroristic people or persons, they deliberately tampered with the natural gas delivery system in Aspen in 3 different places.
That's right. That is why that article came about.
Yeah. That was man-made. A man-made disaster. So what happened in Aspen, in case you haven't been paying attention, is a person or persons deliberately damaged and tampered with the natural gas delivery system at 3 different locations in Aspen. And what that did was that forced the gas company to have to shut down the entire delivery system and purge the lines and manually reset every single meter, every single house. Which, do I need to explain to you that takes a long time? And so people were freaking out. They're like, well, gas is all I have to keep my house warm. And now I can't stay warm. And this is when I went on, I did a Facebook Live and I said, hey, if you don't have if you need to stay warm in the winter, which we pretty much all do unless you live in Tahiti, you need to have a redundant backup system. You need to have whether it's propane, whether it's kerosene, whether it's wood, whatever, you need to have a backup system. Stop putting all of your 100% reliance on a utility company because they can fail. What would you do if bad people tampered with your city's water? Right? So they test the water and they find that somebody has put cyanide or arsenic or lead or whatever in the water. And so they immediately shut it off. You're like, yeah, but I want it. Well, it doesn't matter. It's shut off because we noticed poison or whatever, bacteria or whatever in the water system. So it shut off. Yeah, but I want it. Okay, great. Human beings can do bad things. So if human beings, let's say Greenpeace blows up your local power transformer, they blow up the substation outside of town, and now you don't have electricity. You're like, well, that's not right. Yeah, it's not. What are you going to do? Now let's get back to water. Cases of water are good because they're super convenient. You hand people water bottles and blah, blah, blah. Gallons of water are good for, you put one on the counter and your wife uses it for cooking and what have you or whatever. Something else, bulk storage. And this is where we talked last night or 2 nights ago, whatever, about the blue barrels. The blue barrels or the white barrels or the black barrels. I don't care what color the barrel is. Food grade plastic, right? And somebody jumped in. I can't remember who it was. It was either Umana or Parker or something. It might have been Umana that said, hey, you know who goes through like literally tons of those barrels? Soda manufacturers. Mm-hmm. Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, so forth. You drive by their plant, and in the back, there's literally stacks and stacks and stacks of these white and blue barrels. If you are lucky enough to be near one of those, and most of them just recycle them. They're like, yeah, come to the front office, give us $10, take a barrel, or $15 or whatever, take a barrel. Go. Or if you got a bro hookup where you have a friend who works at a plant and they're like, oh yeah, man, I'm the shop manager at this plant and we get those all the time. We just stack them up in the back and then we got like a mountain of empty barrels. Hey, can I get one of those from you? Here's a bottle of Evan Williams. Can I get one of those from you, or can I get a few of those from you? Yeah, sure, man. Just bring your truck and load them up. If you're on a team, if you are a Patriot Fire Team leader, if you're a community leader, and there is a facility near you, these places, these facilities, they're not going to ship them to you because that's way too big of a hassle. All right, and I went online and I looked on the electronicbay.com. I went and looked on electronicbay.com, and there are lots and lots of blue barrel, white barrel, food grade, and they're cheap, but it says pickup only. Mm-hmm. We're not shipping it to you. We're not putting a label on it. We're not sending this empty barrel to you. And that's part of the expense of buying one of the barrels online is because they're like, it doesn't weigh much, but it's really big. It takes up a lot of room on the UPS truck. So they're like, if you want this, you're going to have to pay. If you're a leader in your community and there's a place near you which will either give away or sell for low cost these food grade plastic barrels, whether they're white or blue or whatever.
I just got on our local marketplace to look and see what's here. And one of the first listings was a lingerie bodysuit. It said, brand new, never worn, wife doesn't need it anymore.
That's nice.
It was funny to me.
So what, you can get a lingerie bodysuit or blue barrels. If you're a leader and you have one of these places, don't be selfish. Tell everybody in your group, in your team, in your neighborhood, and even if you don't have an official Patriot Fire Team, if you got an F-250 or an F-350, pickup truck, or a Chevy, what's or whatever, or hell, even my little Dodge, I can fit 6 barrels in the back of it. I could fit 6 empty barrels in the back of my little Dodge, my Dakota. So if you have a full-size truck, you could probably fit 6, 8, 10 barrels, depending on how big your bed is. Strap them. The truth is, you can stack them and strap them down. They weigh almost nothing. They weigh like 5 pounds or 10 pounds or something like that. Go around your neighborhood and say, hey, I'm driving over to Derp, and I'm going to get barrels. Do you want one? And they're $10 a piece, or they're $15 a piece, or whatever. Do you want one or don't you? And if your neighbor's like, no, I don't want one, I don't need that crap, you're paranoid, you're stupid, whatever, it's like, peace out, rock on. You'll be drinking your urine here next fall when there's a tornado and we all have water and you don't. So congratulations. But yeah, be the cool guy that goes and gets barrels. And if you do have a team of guys that you've already gotten together with, and you're like, hey, you're my bro, you're my bro, you're my bro, this is when you need to look at each other in the face and say, hey, how much water do you have stored at your house? I mean, when we were in Mississippi in hurricane-prone areas, I had 4 barrels of treated water. And now we had cases of drinking water and stuff like that too. But and if you want to know how to treat it with bleach, it's super simple. You don't use the flavored stuff or the smells like roses or smells like lavender stuff. Just straight up plain regular old bleach. You put it in, you measure it out. It's like so many drops per gallon, blah, 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 blah. And you do the math and put it in there, mix it up, and you're good to go. Store it. When we moved, obviously we couldn't move, 400 pounds of water. So we didn't. That's one big regret, that I had to leave those heavy barrels in Mississippi when we traveled across the country. But the water was still good. Water was good. I would test it annually. That's still good. So, yeah. And people say, well, what about these water bricks? The water bricks that are on the Brownell's website are cool because they're convenient. You can stack them, and you can take 3.5 gallons of water, and you can move it around or give it to someone or whatever. But in order to store 55 gallons of water, you'd have to spend $200 on water bricks, and a brand new barrel from Uline is $70. Brand new, never used blue barrel from Uline, $70. You're like, wow, $70 is a lot. Until the water's not coming out of your tap for 3 days in a row. And then $70 seems pretty cheap for 55 gallons of water, huh? Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah. Well, in that case, yeah, it seems like it. So, but think ahead, ladies and gentlemen. There's no excuse or reason for people in my audience to not have 14 days worth of everything in their houses. Zero. I've been banging this drum for a long time. There's no excuse. The only excuse you have is it wasn't important to you, so you didn't do it. That's not really an excuse. All right. Duracoat. Why? Because life is too short
to have an ugly gun.
Bingo, bango, bongo. Duracoat, firearmfinishes.com. That's where you want to go to get your good stuff to make your gun not ugly. Yes. Sign up for the Brownells newsletter too. Sign up for the newsletter, and it's a good thing. And when stuff is in stock, they'll tell you as soon as it's in stock. You're like, they've been out of this for a long time. Well, a truck just showed up, and that thing is on it. And if you sign up for the newsletter, they'll tell you. It's pretty cool, huh? It's pretty cool. Before moving on, how did you test it? I fed it to the dog, and the dog didn't die. So I was like, okay, it's good to go. All right. It's Wednesday. That means Zach's got something to say.
ShopSOTG.com is the perfect place to go if you are a student of the gun. Whether you want to expand your brain, increase your marksmanship, or help keep your family safe. All that, plus the pimp hand brands that you love. ShopSOTG.com has almost anything that an American patriot would want. Education, enlightenment, and entertainment, and we're open 24/7. Check out ShopSOTG.com today and see for yourself.
You know, that Zach makes an excellent point right there. There are so many pimp hand brands that you love or that you should love. There's the OG student of the gun brand, right? T-shirts, mugs, hooded sweatshirts, all that good stuff. You've got the Team Honey Badger. Don't forget about the Team Honey Badger, man. Team Honey Badger. What does it say on the CUP? It says, it says Honey Badger has no fear and gives no fuques. That's right. What else? What other brands? What other pimp hand brands do we have? We have the Fighting Solves Everything pimp hand brand, FSE. We've got the AAFU, the American Association of Firearms Users, because we don't need your permission. If you're wondering if I needed your permission to own a gun, the answer is no, I don't. And don't forget about the Morning Mindset. Morning Mindset podcast is still available on YouTube and not YouTube, iTunes and Stitcher and all that good stuff. And soon, very soon, as you listen to this, there will be live. We will have live Legion of Michael. We have a Legion of Michael dedicated podcast all about protecting and defending the faithful. Protect the faith, defend the faith, protect the innocent. And that is coming up too. All right. So how about we do a Student of the Gun Homeroom brought to you by our good friends at crossbreedholsters.com. You know, with the advent of modern search engines, do we even need to say .com, or is that just something we do because?
That's a good question.
Should I say crossbreedholsters.internet?
.internet.
.worldwideweb.com. .internet. .url. Maybe, I don't know. But if you go over to Crossbreed Holsters, on their official internet site, it's on the World Wide Web for you guys, and you make a purchase and you're intelligent enough to use the promotional code SOTG18 when you sign out, you're going to save money. You're going to get a good holster or a good belt or a magazine pouch or whatever. Do whatever you want, man. You're an American, and you're going to be a happy camper. Now, what is the primary theme of the Crossbreed Holsters homeroom? To be
dangerous on demand.
To be dangerous on demand. How are we dangerous on demand?
There's a thing called the Fundamental 4 that if you carry those 4 things, and there's an article on that. I'll pull it up for you guys and put it in the notes. But you carry the Fundamental 4, and that helps you be dangerous on demand. But it really starts with the mindset. Yep.
Well, the mindset is what makes you carry what you need. Right. The mindset, and that is I'm glad you brought up mindset, because the mindset of the person that we're about to discuss, and I'm going to do it in a PG manner and a parental guidance manner here, even though this person deserves to be discussed in an R-rated manner based upon their behavior. Okay. So we got a story out of Oakland, California. Oakland, California. Yes, indeed. And this comes to us from ABC 7 News. We're not sure if they're on your side or not. But the dateline is Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. Now, the title is Oakland Police Chief Urges Chinatown Residents Not to Arm Themselves. There's a video, and I would like, Zach, if you could, and there's probably a stupid commercial at the beginning of it, for glossy paint or Ace Hardware or something. I'm wearing Oh, Thumbtack. There's a new app on your phone because you don't have enough apps on your phone. How many times have you open up your phone and you're like, okay, I have 57 apps and I use 4. I actually did that the other day. I went through, I was like, never used that, never used that, never used that. And I got rid of a bunch. Will you please play the quote from this uber genius police chief in Oakland? He thinks he's a 4-star general. Thinks he's a 4-star general. Can we do that, Zach?
Yeah, the commercial. So here's something for you.
Uh-huh.
The commercial was a Facebook commercial.
Was it really?
And it was a commercial about how they support internet regulations.
Oh, do they?
Oh, they do, it seems.
Yeah.
All right, I got the video ready, so I'll go ahead and play it. And it's not playing audio, even though I muted it.
Police Chief LaRon Armstrong was specifically referring to the incident last night when he says a woman was approached by a suspect who tried to steal her camera. During the struggle, a nearby resident came up and fired several rounds towards the suspect. No one was hit, but by the time police arrived, the man with the gun was arrested while the robbery suspect got away.
We just want to reassure the community that we're doing a thorough job of investigating what happened last night, and the district attorney will determine whether charges are appropriate or not.
In California, defending yourself or someone else with...
Somehow we didn't get the very beginning of the video where the chief talks. Somehow it skipped over that. I wonder what happened.
The first 30 seconds are an unskippable ad. So maybe the ad
but
is covering
it should
up.
go. Well, when I played the story earlier, when I put it in the show notes, after the ad ended, it went right directly to the quote from the chief.
There's 2 videos in here. Is it the first one, or is it actually there's 3 videos in the story?
I went to the one that was at the top of the screen.
Yeah, that would be what
is
you
the
should
thumbnail the year of the ox, or is it him in there with a mask on?
It's him, and there's a dude standing next to him with a mask.
Okay, that's what it was. Wrong video. All right.
Yeah.
Well, got another ad to watch, so I'll just cut this out of the stream.
You gotta love news sources. This is why people say that. How come you don't do more news sources? No reason.
All right.
Oh.
And we're almost done. Thumbtack.com, handyman, roofer,
Man, it's working.
landscaper.
They're getting free ads on our show now.
Yeah, I know.
Boom.
We're gonna send them a bill.
Twice.
All right. Should I start on Dion Lim or skip her?
Oh, I don't
Start
know
and play
what's
it
going
until-
on. The very first when it starts, there's a picture of the chief. He's a black man
Yes.
with 4 stars on his collar, and he says what I want to hear.
Well, as soon as the video ends, it goes to an Asian lady in a red
Okay,
shirt.
ready, set, go.
Okay, I'm going to play it.
Covered countless attacks on the Asian American community in recent weeks, some very violent and even caught on camera. So, walking through Chinatown with the new police chief and seeing other safety measures at work, that was a welcome sight for many.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much.
A welcome sight in Oakland's Chinatown, where newly appointed police chief LaRon Armstrong walked the streets.
I think the fear that we've seen over the last month or so.
All right, go ahead and pull it down. That is, I don't know what's going on. I have no idea why it's appearing on my monitor, but not on yours.
It's
This
working
is
on mine too.
abc7news.com, right?
It's the first video, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
right,
working on mine. I just played through the video ad on that first video, and it goes straight to the chief.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. But Jared, would you please give us the quote from the chief?
Yeah, he says the chief, and what's his name here? Armstrong. Ron Armstrong. He says, when weapons are fired in our community, there could be unintended victims. We don't want our business owners or others to begin to arm themselves. We would really prefer them to be good witnesses.
Well, there you go.
Why?
Go.
Why though?
Why in Oakland are people feeling the need? Why would they want to arm themselves? Because of a massive crime outbreak in the city? Yeah. will you go down and pick up after his quote where it says, according to police, a woman?
Yeah, according to police, a woman was walking near 9th Street and Franklin Street around 6 p.m. Monday when she was approached by a suspect who attempted to take her camera. During the struggle, investigators said a nearby resident came up and fired several rounds toward the suspect. No one was hit, but when police arrived, the man with the gun was arrested while the robbery suspect got away. This is a quote from Chief Armstrong. He says, "We just want to reassure the community that we are doing a thorough job of investigating what happened last night. The district attorney will determine whether charges are appropriate or not." End quote. In California, defending yourself or someone else with a gun is legal. Do we really have to clarify? Like, we're at a point in human history where we have to clarify that defending yourself with a gun is legal.
The government will allow you. It says, but though there is some gray area.
Yeah. And this is defense attorney Elliot Silver says, quote, "There is no bright line rule. It's case by case. That's why many of these situations end up in front of a jury," end quote.
Yeah.
He said juries are told to look for three things. First, whether a person was in imminent danger. Second, if the force was necessary. And third, if the force was equal to the danger they were in. So ability, opportunity, intent.
Well, that's not exactly it.
Right.
What we need as a responsible human, you need to understand ability, opportunity, and intent. What they're saying here is imminent danger, which is, I guess, would be intent, and then necessary. These things all go with each other. They're basically all answering the one question. Was the force necessary? Well, I don't know. There was imminent danger, so that yes. You guys remember this little thing that happened in America 20 years ago? 20 years ago. I can't remember what happened yesterday. Well, I'll remind you. 20-some years ago, a bunch of jihadists had actually been in the United States during the Clinton administration for several years. They took flying lessons, and then they took over 4 airplanes. And they committed the largest act of terrorism ever to occur on American soil. You might have heard of it. I don't know. Maybe you haven't. Why were they able to? And at the time, you say, yeah, well, they got on the plane and they had submachine guns and grenades and pistols and stuff, and they hijacked it like 1972. I want to go to Cuba, right? No. They took over the plane with small knives and box cutters. And you're like, well, I can't take a box cutter on a plane today. No, but you could then, because back then we thought, yeah, if somebody wants to take their Swiss Army knife on the plane, it's not that big of a deal. It's not a weapon, so who cares? Why did the 19 jihadist terrorists know and understand that they could use box cutters and little, like, I don't know, X-Acto knives or whatever they had to take over a plane? Jared, do you know? Why did they know they would be able to get away with it?
Because they paid attention? I don't know. What do you look for? What do you want for me?
Because for literally decades, the security experts and the law enforcement experts and the government experts had been hammering the American citizenry over the head. If you're ever involved in a hijacking, this is what you do. Don't fight back. Don't show any resistance. Be a good witness. Don't fight back. Be a good witness. Everything will be fine. Leave it to the professionals. It'll all be okay. And be a good witness is great advice until the bad guy decides there aren't going to be any witnesses. And then you are left with nothing but dying with a stupid look on your face. The greatest act of terrorism ever to be pulled off on American soil was done specifically, and it succeeded because the experts in America, like Mr. Chief Douche Nozzle here, you piece of human filth. We don't want people to arm themselves. Ergo, don't fight back. We'd prefer that you were a good witness. Really? Hey, Chief, how did that work out? How did your be a good witness plan work out on 9/11/2001? That's not the same thing. That's totally different. Horse crap. When law enforcement and security experts tell you you're just a stupid peasant, you're a moron, you're a TikTok, you can't be trusted, don't fight back. It's not worth it. You're not even allowed to defend your own life. Well, you technically are, but only after we give you permission. How is it that 20 years after 9/11, when the total and complete abject failure of the be a good witness advice was made present, was shown for the fallacy that it is to the entire world, can someone go in public and say, the best plan is not to fight back. It's to just give the criminal what they want and be a good witness? Are you insane? This person is, all right, this chief is criminally negligent and should be removed immediately. But he won't, because it's California. And you people out there won't find your cojones and make it happen. Any police chief that looks out at the citizens and says, hey, did you see, Jared, will you read his quote again, when weapons are?
Yeah, I closed the story.
I can read it. Okay. When weapons are fired in our community, there could be unintended victims. So is the chief saying?
This is a classic case of don't make yourself better. Just fall to the level of, like, lower the standard. And that's where you need to be, rather than getting training.
Is he going to disarm all of his police officers? Is that what he's saying? Someone should call him and say, so all the Oakland police are being disarmed right now, right? Because they have weapons. No, don't be an idiot. We don't mean the police, because police are special. They work for the state. And when you get a uniform and you work for the state, you're above the peasantry. The citizens are down here on the bottom. And when you get a badge and a gun and a uniform, you're up here, man. It doesn't count.
Uniformed police are the trained professionals, says New York patrolman that shot 7 people.
Accidentally
shot 7 people.
They shouldn't have been standing there. Then they sue the city, and the city's like, I guess next time you won't be standing there. You don't want to get shot? Don't walk down the street. Remember? And you're like, that never happened, Paul. Oh, that happened more than once. It actually happened several times where New York City police officers negligently shot bystanders. The bystanders sued the city. The city took it to court, and the court said, next time, don't stand there. I guess you learn your lesson. You're like, what? That really happened, Paul? Yeah, look it up. It's in my book, Examining the Armed Citizen. Matter of fact, there's lots of examples in the book, Examining the Armed Citizen, where the state completely, totally, and abjectly failed to protect people. People were murdered and raped and assaulted. Then they sued, and the court said, hey, sucks to be you. Cops have no constitutional duty to protect you. Jared, do you think that Chief LaRon Armstrong, Mr. Be a Good Witness, do you think he's familiar with the Supreme Court ruling about the constitutional duty of police?
No, you can't expect him to do that.
You think he's familiar with the law, with like either constitutional law, or think he ever like ran into that accidentally when he was going through the academy and coming up. I mean, he's a chief. He's got to have been a cop for a while, right? So during his whole tenure as a popo, he never ran into that whole, Supreme Court ruling about no constitutional duty. Well, yeah, but so what? Dead peasants, we can replace them. You're replaceable. Well, so if LaRon, let's say one of his officers walking down the street, right? And Johnny Crackhead comes out of the alley and he points a gat at LaRon's cop and says, "Give me everything you got." You think LaRon would say, well, in that case, just give them what they want and be a good witness, because it's not worth it. It's not worth firing weapons in our community. So who wins in this scenario? Do the citizens win? The citizens who are being victimized on a daily basis by criminals, do they win? Well, you're like, they get to keep being victims. Woohoo! Congratulations. You get to keep being victims, but we'll give you a little shiny star. We'll give you a little button that says good witness on it. And we'll probably catch them, or we won't, or whatever. Or they'll go to jail and they'll get bail. They'll walk right out the back door. What have they done with bail reform, Jared? In California. What have they done with bail reform in California, Jared? Hello? Are you there? They did bail reform in California, so now when you get arrested, you don't even have to put up any money. You just sign your name on a piece of paper. They push you out the back door. So you could go and Tammy Lamb is walking down the street, right? And you're like, hey, she's got something I want. And you go up, you grab it, and she resists, and you club her and knock her to the ground. And then you get arrested accidentally. Oops. You go to jail. They're like, hey, you're a bad guy. You're like, oh, whatever. And they're like, sign this piece of paper. And you're like, all right, I will. And you sign it. And they're like, okay, see you later. And you walk out. Boy, that's hardcore, man. It's hardcore. Because so when that happens, the Mr. Felon's like, well, I should never rob people again because the penalty is just too severe. The punishment is it's terrible. Really? Then you got LaRon. You got LaRon Armstrong who's like, don't arm yourself. Just be a good victim. Oh, I mean, witness. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Remember those 3 employees at the Cracker Barrel restaurant that followed company policy and decided to be good witnesses? Remember that, Jared? What happened to them?
They went to the back and were never heard from again.
And they died because the bad people decided there's not going to be any witnesses. There have been numerous situations where people have given it up. And then, you remember the hikers, Jared? The 2 hikers left for dead, and one annoyingly didn't die. They gave up everything to the criminal, and then he shot them.
Yeah, because he didn't want to get caught. He didn't
want any witnesses. But that's okay. That's okay. See, it's stuff like this that at some point in time, you've got to stand up to these people. At some point in time, you've got to be a citizen and stand up to these elitists. And that's exactly what this guy is. He is a ruling class elitist. Well, my life and the life of my officers is very important. Your life, not really so much. So just because we know that giving in to criminals and giving them what they want really teaches them a lesson. They're like, wow, I feel so bad. I feel so bad. I'm just never going to do this again. That's because that's how you stop crime. That's how you stop crime in communities, Jared. Did you know that? The best way to stop crime in communities is to surrender to the criminals and give them what they want,
Mm-hmm.
and that'll learn them.
Yeah.
That'll learn them. Or remember, John Lott wrote a whole entire book about how when you shoot felons, they stop doing that. When you shoot them, you suppose that LaRon is familiar with the I think it was a 7 or 10 year study where communities where there was shall issue concealed carry saw a dramatic drop in violent crime across the board. Every county where over 10 years where they had shall issue concealed carry saw a dramatic drop. Well, they have shall issue in California, right? You don't get to carry a gun in California unless you're part of the ruling class elite, biatch. So California gun control works for criminals. There you go. All right, boys, how far into this are we? Do we have time to answer questions, or should we?
We have time to answer questions, yes.
All right. Hit me with your best shot.
We've got 2 questions. The first one says, in addition to water, do you have experience with long-term freeze-dried food brands, quality and taste? MRE not included. This is from Mike Cunningham.
Well, first of all, MREs are not freeze-dried. They're ready to eat.
Right.
That's what an MRE stands for, meal ready to eat. Freeze-dried foods are not ready to eat. We've used both Mountain House and Wise Foods. And they're kind of toss up, six one, half dozen the other. And
there's another one. I don't remember the brand that it is, but Ready Man sells a brand. It's in a black bag, and it tastes really good. However, you can't use the bag that it's in to cook it. So there's an upside. There's a downside
or something.
What's that?
You have to dump it into a pot or something?
Yeah, you have to put it into some kind of camping cooking equipment.
Oh, okay. Well, as long as you know that ahead of time.
Yes, I wish I would have, but I didn't.
Oh, yeah. The Ready Man and the Wise Foods, you just snip the top of the bag open and you pour boiling water and you seal it and you let it set. Or if you're in your house, just dump it into a pot, dump it into a cooking pot, put boiling water in it, and you're good to go. The Mountain House stuff is camping food. That's why they do that, because it's camping food.
Yeah.
Either one of those, Mountain House or Ready. It's kind of like I said, toss up. And some they have different meals. Like some have breakfast meals, like the Mountain House one has, I think they both do have like oatmeal breakfast meals and stuff like that. So. But here's the dealio. You're like, well, how about taste? Here's the deal, dude. When you're hungry, are you actually hungry, or are you just like bored and want to put something in your mouth? If you're actually hungry, eat. All right. You know what's in my emergency locker? Texas Pete, Tabasco, salt, pepper, all that stuff, so that I don't have to eat plain white rice during the crisis. And if I bust it, that's the smartest thing they ever did with MREs. I was in the Corps before there were little mini Tabascos in MREs. And then when I went to the field and I got the new version of the MRE in the light brown bags, not the dark brown bags. If you ate dark brown bag MREs, it's probably time for a prostate exam. So when I ripped that thing open, I'm like, there's a little bottle of Tabasco in this. Holy crap balls. These people are geniuses. Put that in the spaghetti meal, man. And this cheese, you save the cheese. You got the spaghetti meal, you save the cheese, put the Tabasco in it. You're living large. Talking gourmet crap right there. And people who say, MREs are no good and they taste terrible, blah, blah, blah. You never been that hungry. Anybody ever says, I'd never eat MREs, they don't taste good. Yeah, you obviously
will at some point in time.
Yeah, you've never been in a hungry position. So
there's some recommendations coming in from people that are watching as well. I don't have any experience with anything I'm about to mention, but Kevin Prospel says Peak Fuel is awesome, a bit more, but volume and flavors cannot be beat. And then Drew Weil says Thrive / Shelf Reliance is super high quality freeze dried. I've never had either of those brands, but Kevin and Drew have, and they said that they're worth it.
There you go. There you go. Thrive Shelf Reliance is what they just be saying. All right. Moving on to the next question.
Next question. How do I go about setting up my plate carrier? How many mags should I have? And what other equipment along with an IFAC do I need? That's from Tristan.
Okay. Tristan Shitty. Essentially, you need to look at what you have. All right. You don't need, depending on what you're planning on doing, if you're just going to be patrolling your neighborhood or making sure bad guys don't come in around your house and do bad things, you don't need 7 magazines. I mean, you can carry 7 magazines if you want. I don't care. You're American. But I would say with an AR or an AK, 1 in your gun and 2 on your vest, and then some other stash somewhere else. If you get into a 200-round gunfight with a regular rifle, I hope you have friends with you. A tourniquet should be immediately available. You like not buried at the bottom of your IFAC, but like where you just put it on your hand and pull it off. A radio, you got to figure out where you're going to put your radio. You're going to figure out where you're going to put emergency stuff. Like some people will shove a chem light in their molly straps. Pistol magazines, if you're carrying a pistol, you got to figure out where you're going to keep those things. Those don't absolutely have to be on your vest. You can stash them somewhere else. Depends on how fast you want to get them. If you're carrying a rifle, that's your primary gun anyway, and your pistol's your secondary gun. But definitely you want to have a tourniquet where you can get to it. A light. That's a great thing about a lot of these lights that have the heavy duty spring steel clips is you can just real quick pop it into a molly strap and it's there and you can whip it off whenever you need it. Some kind of signaling device, maybe. I don't know. You got to figure out where you live. What's your area of operation? Are you urban? Are you suburban? Are you rural? Is it cold? Is it hot? You're like, well, how does that matter? Well, it's going to matter depending on what you're doing. Are you just going to be in your neighborhood on patrol, or are you specifically, if you know you're going to be engaging bad guys, like I know that we're going to be engaging bad guys, well, you're going to do different things. But if it's the just in case.
I know, Tristan, you've got access. You're a grad program member. You've got access to the PFT leadership seminar, the online version of that. So go into the student lounge, take that course. There's a lot of this stuff will be answered, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I think, unless I'm thinking about the class.
Well, it was also answered in the PFT manual. It was also answered in the equipment guide. And it was also answered to a certain extent in Nicholas Orr's book, A Pipe Hitter's Guide to Crushing the Coming Societal Breakdown. And also in the Pipe Hitter's Guide to Crushing the Coming Societal Breakdown, Nicholas Orr, I think it's chapter 1, food prep. And he goes through the 4 stages or the 4 areas that you need to cover with food prep. And he talks about dehydrated food and canned food and all that. So there you go. And speaking, are you gonna all you fans of Nicholas Orr? 2 things are coming down the pike. Number 1, there at some point in the near future, there's going to be an official Nicholas Orr website, webpage, where the author will be able to communicate directly with you guys. He'll be able to give you updates on new projects and articles and all that stuff. And I talked to Nick last night, and he told me that he has completed the Operator Book 3. Now, he also told me that he completed it, but it hasn't been formatted, edited yet. But so the writing part of the Operator Book 3. So if you read the first one or the second one, Sin City, and you've been chomping at the bit, and you're like, man, when am I going to get the 3rd book? I can't wait to be reunited with these characters. Well, it's coming. It's coming. So there you go. I hope you're excited about it. I can't wait. I can't wait to read it. I can't wait till it comes out. I'm a influential member of the media, so I'll probably get an early copy. I'll probably get an advanced copy because I am an influential member of the media. Is that it? I think Cat in the Hat, and that be that. There's lots of good links in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on your phone, you can click it open and open the show notes, whether it's iHeartRadio or iTunes or what's that other one? Spotify. Yeah, Spotify and all that good stuff. All right, Zach, can we go ahead and successfully put the cork in this one?
I think so.
All right, Zach says yes. We are allowed. So, all right, kids, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I hope you go forth and do good things. Remember, you're a beginner once.
You're a student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.